Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP fighter champion build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. So this is going to be full 12 levels in the fighter, and I want to create this because some people just want to stick with the full 12 in each class. So for the fighter, the fighting style that we're going to go with, so you can go with the defense, give you a +1 armor class. This is never a bad idea, especially since the champion gets 2 fighting styles. But I'm going to go with great weapon fighting. So when you roll a 1 or 2 on damage dice for an attack, with a 2-handed melee weapon, that dice is re-rolled once. This just means that you're going to be hitting more often than not, or you're going to be hitting much more damage, so very useful. I'm going to be using 2-handed weapons, but if you're going with sword and board, I would recommend going with like defense and then something like protection. But yeah, for our ability scores, we're dumping dexterity because I'm wearing the dexterity gloves. If you're not dumping if you're not wearing these gloves or don't have them yet, I would just keep your dexterity high. We can also dump our strength. This is kind of a funny idea because typically you want to have a very high strength, but we got potions that give us 27 strength and nothing can do more damage than that. So especially I'm using the Baldur greatsword, which doubles our strength modifier on the attack. So we're going to dump strength as well. Dumping dexterity and strength sounds hilarious on a fighter, but we're going to give that +1 to constitution. This can be good for a face of our party because we can pump our charisma up high. We can also go with a decent intelligence or wisdom. Since we're dumping 2 of our most important stats, this makes things a little tricky, but we can do something like that and give the +1 to charisma. Yeah, it sounds silly, but we're going to see this build come to fruition. So yeah, this is where things get really intense. So starting off, if we would have took an increased armor class, we would have had a +1 to our armor, but we're going to go ahead here and go through with the full champion, because the champion's probably, I just want to get this out of the way, champion's probably the worst of the subclasses for the fighter, but I still want to make this video because it could be someone out there that wants to run with that class. So level 2 fighter, we get action surge, is the most powerful ability of this, so we're going to obviously take that. Now fighter level 2, we get our battle subclass, which we're not going to take Battle Master. I think Battle Master is the best of the fighter. Eldrich Knight is also really great. I do have a build guide for the Eldrich Knight, and I am working on a Battle Master one. I mostly spent most of my game on the Battle Master, but champion subclass features: when the number you need to roll a critical hit when attacking is reduced by 1. So we're going to work on stacking that to hit as many criticals as we possibly can. Our race skill there. So what's interesting is if you use the Illithid powers, you can get a free critical hit. And then there's a ring that will give us a free critical hit as well. That's going to be important to this build because we're focusing on hitting critical hits. So for our first feat here, we could go with an ability improvement, take our constitution higher for more survivability. But I think that something like heavy armor mask would be great. It's going to pump up our strength either way. This is perfect if we didn't dump our stat, but that's what we're rolling with here. I think that Sentinel actually plays a really big role. So class features gives us vengeance. When an enemy is in melee range, attacks an enemy, you can use a reaction to attack against that enemy. Perfect for a fighter. The fighter typically is at the front line of battle, so defending our allies is a very important thing. When you hit a creature with opportunity attack, it can no longer move for the rest of its turn. That's huge. And then also we get advantage on opportunity attacks. So Sentinel is quite underrated. Also, alert can be a great feat as well, because alert gives you a +5 to initiative and can't be surprised, which is kind of useful in Act 3 when everything is going to have high initiative. You want to out initiative them, especially on if you're doing a honor run. Now we got our extra attack at level 5. This is pretty standard for most of the classes. We also get another one at level 11, so that's really nice when this build starts to come together. Level 6, we get our next feat. So you can go with something like what I think is one of the better ones, is the Great Weapon Master. So what this does is when you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action this turn. So this is great. If we critical hit, take one out, then we can use this to give a bonus attack. So very nice, because we're going to be focused on hitting critical hits as much as we possibly can. Class features, melee attack bonus. You have a -5 to your attack rolls, but you have a melee damage bonus of +10, so this means our criticals are going to be hitting much harder. Very important for this build, because that's really the focus of it. So yeah, as we get into fighter level 7, this is where we get some extra nice features here. So one that I want to speak on is the remarkable athlete proficiency, so you're a master of your own body, and you add half your proficiency bonus to any strength, dexterity, constitution checks that you're not proficient in. That's really nice, but also we get the athlete jump, so we're able to jump further. Jumping is super important, and I think that's one thing that we should focus on a lot in Baldur's Gate for mobility, because jumping can get us to other areas and position ourselves well. So I think that that's one of the better feats for, but one of the better subclass features of the champion. Give us more jump ability, and we get a bit more later on down the road too. So into fighter level 8, we get ourselves another feat. So we already got the Great Weapon Master. We can go with the Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage dice twice and use the highest result. What's nice about this is we're just flat out dealing more damage. That's never a bad thing, especially if we're trying to critical a lot. That's definitely something that we want. We could also go with something like, let's see here. You get tough for more health points, but I don't know if that's really the most effective. You could go with Resilient in Constitution to take our Constitution up to 18 there, but I do think that something like Heavy Armor Master can be really great for just survivability, and we get a +1 to strength, which isn't super important since we're using the strength potions. Alert is also really great. I just want to bring a highlight to that because +5 to initiative is super powerful. And yeah, there's a few different options that we could go with. Durable, even Constitution increased by 1. You gain full points, health points every time you short rest, which you're gonna be resting a lot. But if you have a Warlock, that kind of makes it kind of a good one. Martial Adept, we can get a superiority die from the Battle Master, which is a nice option to have. Heavy Armor Master to decrease non-magical attacks by 3, or something like the Savage Attacker. If we want more damage outright, I think the Savage Attacker just seems to be the best option there, so we'll go with that. Into fighter level 9, then we get our class feature, the Indomitable, which you become as durable as an Iron Golem. When you fail a saving throw, you just get to do it again, so that's quite nice. Saving throws, you want to pass them as much as possible, obviously, but being able to roll that dice twice just gives us double the chance of surviving that, so super useful, definitely. And as we get into level 10 here, we got ourselves another fighting style, which is nice to have. So defense, +1 to armor class when wearing armor. It really depends what type of weapon. If you're dual wielding, 2-weapon fighting. Protection if you're using a shield. I like defense, so +1 to armor class, never a bad idea. If you're using your bow a lot, archery can be good too, but typically we're jumping in and attacking a lot, trying to trigger Sentinel as much as possible. Level 11 fighter, we get that improved extra attacks, so 2 attacks per turn, or so total of 3 attacks. And we could, so adding, yeah, I think I did say at the start that we're going to go full 12 levels in fighter, and you can, if you want to have that extra feat. That's all this is bringing, is just one more feat. So level 11, so when we get that extra attack, we could take a feat, or we can go and we can multi-class Cleric. And this sounds silly, but just wait. We're going to go War Cleric. This gives us Divine Favor. So we have a concentration, allows us to weapon attacks deal 1 to 4 radiant damage. So just flat out more damage. You could also have Shield of Faith. So War Priest is really what makes it super useful. When you make an unarmed or weapon attack, you spend a War Priest charge to make an additional attack as a bonus action. So attack, bonus action attack, double attack. Super useful. For what we're going to take here, you're not going to be using Sacred Flame. Guidance can be okay. Blade Ward can be okay. Resistance can be decent as well. Or this to gain advantage on intimidation and performance checks. Produce Flame. For the utility, you can produce Flame and also throw it on the same turn. So if there's grease on the ground, just to give us an option to deal fire damage. For our deity, Garl Glittergold, obviously. And then for spells, just having an extra bit of healing is always nice. So we're going to go with a couple of healing spells there. Sanctuary is also really, really useful. Actually, we might take off, we'll take off Cure Wounds. We'll put on Command Drop. Command can be super useful. Guiding Bolt's nice too, but it doesn't deal enough damage to make it worthwhile using. Sanctuary, you or an ally cannot be targeted, and that can be very nice. So just a bit of extra healing. Now, that's if you don't want that extra feat. If you're playing on the easier difficulty, you're not going to have that option. But in terms of gear for this build, I think that the best thing we can go with is, I'm using this helmet just for the aesthetic purposes. I like the helmet Baldur, and that's obviously like the best that we got there. So Shade Slayer Cloak, when hiding number needed to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1. We can go, if you've been the Dark Urge, you get the shadow itself. Once per turn, when you kill an enemy, you become invisible. Also, the Cloak of Displacement can be quite good as well. At the beginning of turn, when the Cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against the wearer. So just overall better for your defense. Reaper's Embrace is just, you get this at the end of Act 2, super useful. 19 armor class, reduces all incoming damage by 2, so very, very nice. We got 21 armor class with this. Gloves of Dexterity gives us that nice attack +1, and dexterity score to 18. And then we're gonna pop a Cloud Giant Strength, which sets our strength to 27, so this gives us a plus 7 to our strength checks. And then as we use a Baldur Greatsword, this on hit, double the damage from your strength modifier from weapons that grant you advantage on attack rolls against large, huge, or gargantuan enemies. So that's quite nice. When we pop the that potion, that gives us a nice 21 to 31 damage. So doing that 3 times, very nice. Plus all the skills that we got that are doing topple the big folk, 35 to 45 damage. Deal additional damage equal to your proficiency bonus, and to hit large, huge, or gargantuan creatures, take an additional 2 to 12 slashing and must succeed a saving throw or fall prone. Super useful, especially on this build. Also using the Gaunter Mail bow, which gives us haste. This is incredible. So this build really comes together with the gear. With this, it gives you, if you attack, you can inflict Guiding Bolt. So that's why I didn't take Guiding Bolt from the Cleric, because we can inflict it with this. And we get haste, which is super powerful. Because we can use that, get an extra, what it does is it gives us an extra, hasten gives us an extra action, so we can go and attack an incredible amount of times. We can even go into giant form there, gain 27 health points, advantage on strength checks and saving throws, additional 1 to 6 damage. So that's really nice, especially with the Baldur Greatsword. I really like the risky ring on this, so you gain advantage on attack rolls and receive disadvantage on saving throws, but we have that so that we can roll our saving throws twice. Gives us a little bit of an advantage there, but advantage on attack rolls is huge. Killer Sweetheart, attack roll will be critical. That's super nice. And then Amulet of Ball on hit, inflict bleeding on targets that have maximum health points. I just think that that one is super useful just to have. But yeah, this build comes together. It's not the best fighter build. I think the Battlemaster being the best and Eldrich Knight with its crowd control ability is better, but we can deal quite a bit of damage with this build, so I just want to make this video just to talk a little bit about it, because I think that the champion is a neglected class. Fighters are super overpowered as is, so they could be really great to just run through the whole game with, but just want to make this video to make it a nice champion build, overpowered. We even have Dimension Door to be able to teleport ourselves around the map. Super useful. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.